following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's me, Double KK Double, and I am here as always with my brother from yet another mother, Alpha. What's up, sir?
The other half of the show from the other side of the color palette. Here we are talking about sweaty men on this episode of the show. I got Tyson there. I got Tyson mouth.
Oh man. We got a lot of good things to talk to you about today. We're going to talk a little Raw, a little SmackDown to start the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about something we didn't get to go into much last time we talked wrestling during the WrestleMania time a couple of weeks ago, and that was the
spring cleaning.
Yeah, the spring cleaning done by WWE, which is really not a big surprise to me or you, because we're used to this in the business. This happens every year around WrestleMania time. But there were some names on there that were kind of a surprise. But
this year it was right on the mark of last year's, actually, right? A year to the day of. So it was pretty fucking meticulous this time.
So, but other than that, we got a couple other things to talk to you about, give you our thoughts on the Broken Skull sessions with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Jericho, and all that stuff there. So stay tuned. All right, so Monday Night Raw. We're 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks separated from SmackDown or from WrestleMania. We already have a challenger for Lashley at WrestleMania Backlash in Drew McIntyre. But that Drew McIntyre thing has led to one of the more interesting storylines to come out of Raw this week. And that is the unmasking of former Retribution members, T-Bar and Mace, otherwise known as Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden. For those of you who don't know, basically McIntyre took them on in a 2-on-1 match.
Yeah, most recently.
And ended up getting beat down. And as he's getting beat down after the match, out comes the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, the monster amongst men, Braun Strowman.
Yes, this is what he does.
Because he's on the anti-bullying kick now after the whole Shane McMahon thing. So
he's a Star Campaign fucking captain now.
and like clockwork, this led to a tag team match between the four, which was actually a pretty good. It was actually a pretty good match overall, but it ended in disqualification because I guess Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre felt the same as a lot of the fans and was tired of those masks, and so they just ripped them off and beat the shit out of him with it and got disqualified. And Dominic looked like somebody took a plate and just forced in his entire face. He's just like that. Yeah,
it's fucking. What do you think about this? What do you think about their unmasking and their more importantly, what do you think about their promos ever since they've unmasked?
I think they've gotten a little bit better. I think they need to keep the aggressive angle. I think they need to keep the names. I think they need to lose the mask for good.
Yeah.
I like those two as a powerhouse tag team. I like those two if they live up to their potential to like a young Ron Simmons and John Bradshaw Layfield. They could be that. With the right aggressive nature and the right booking, they could be the next Acolytes. And so, these guys, and I primarily say that because I told you, like I said, we'll discuss this a little bit more when we're talking about the Broken Skulls, but I only made it halfway through because midway through I got sidetracked rewatching Jericho's debut, and the Acolytes actually won the WWF Tag Team Championships lost the WWF Tag Team Championships night. Trivia question quite quick. Do you know the who?
Let me guess. That was what year was that? That was 2000,
99.
right?
No,
Oh,
that was 99.
Shit. Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
A short guy that likes to chop his crotch in a big red machine.
That was fucking X-Pac and Kane, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that was X-Pac and Kane. That was the kid in Kane.
But yeah, but they remind me
that team even existed. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. But those kids impressed the two have the skills in ring. I think Dio Madden, you see a lot of potential there. I haven't really seen him go off too much in the match. And Jajakovic, we've seen what he can do in the ring with Keith Lee, back in the day. So in NXT. So I think there's a lot of potential there. They just have to be booked properly. As always, they just have to be booked properly.
Yeah. I haven't really got to voice it very much up until this point. But I feel it's very important context with this to voice that I'm not okay with the fact that the Hurt Business broke up to begin with. In my opinion, one of the worst decisions that has been made in the last few months has been to break up the Hurt Business, because the Hurt Business was fucking awesome, dude. It was fucking great. And I liked it because you had Bobby Lashley with a team behind him, and he had a manager for him, and he had two goons, but the goons didn't feel like complete cannon fodder like usual. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't feel like complete fucking useless like they usually do with this sort of format with wrestling.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was really fucking cool. And when they split them alone, that was already a horrible idea. And so bringing back T-Bar and Mace, aside from Retribution, is awesome. Bringing them in as Bobby Lashley's new lackeys, not so big of a fan of that one. Yeah. It feels like it feels like they took one good thing and took one shitty thing, ripped both in half, and took those halves and stitched them together and told me to like it.
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
I can give this much of opinion. There's a salvation to that. Salvation to that. Yeah. If the end result ends up with an unmasked T-Bar and Mace wearing suits and standing behind MVP with Lashley out front, I could go for that. I could go for that. I don't think that's where it's going, and that's where my disappointment lies. But
that's where I agree.
If it ends up there, I can't be mad, because I think those two in that main event mafia styles faction would work wonderfully. And also, once again, I love them both to death, but they need a mouthpiece.
Yeah,
and
they do.
MVP could be that mouthpiece to get both of them over. Why is MVP turning into Jimmy Neidhart? Or not Jimmy Neidhart? Jimmy the
mouth of the South. Fucking Jimmy Hart.
Yeah. Why is MVP?
You get a manager. No, you're right though. You're right though. I think there's so much potential to see them as a big Hoss tag team. But I asked about their promos specifically because I feel like they've been flopping hard on those. And they have been getting better with time. Don't get me wrong. They're getting better as they go along. But they are still, in my opinion, especially compared to the physical value that they both bring, not because they're fucking big, but because they're both good in ring. They have the cadence for it,
Yeah.
But they need someone in front of them to be talking for them. Because Dijakovic can be good on the mic, but not in this style. The way that they want him to do it, I don't think it fits the way he does it, which is more than fine,
I would say he's more of a slow and drawn out promo guy than he is an intense, type promo guy.
Yeah, you're right.
But all right. So for time constraints, we'll kind of. Is there anything else you got to say about that one there?
No, we're good. Let's go.
Okay. So we had the return of Le Queen last week on Raw, and this week we're seeing that we have this whole situation with Asuka, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte had an opportunity to take Asuka's championship shot this week, but Rhea Ripley took that away from her by interfering in the match and allowing Asuka to get the win. This is why I think our end result is going to be a triple threat match.
That's usually the setup for.
Right. I think that we're going to see. Now, to bring up the point that I brought up off air, I think that the reason why we're getting this for WrestleMania Backlash isn't because, oh my God, they're giving Charlotte yet another push. Oh my God, fuck Charlotte.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm going to whine about Charlotte. I don't think that's it. I think this is the match we were supposed to get at WrestleMania. I think that that initial setup of Charlotte Flair challenging Asuka was going to lead to Rhea Ripley somehow wedging her way into the match. And then it was going to end up being the Rhea Ripley victory. I still think Rhea Ripley was going to end up the victor. But I think that this match was supposed to take place at WrestleMania, and we're getting it now because, well, now Charlotte Flair is cleared to come back and wrestle. And for WrestleMania, she wasn't. I think if they said it was for COVID or something like that. She ended up not being able to do WrestleMania because she was on quarantine. So I think we're getting the match. I think Rhea Ripley retains. But I think that the reason why we're getting this is just because this is the match we were supposed to get, and so they're just giving it to us now at WrestleMania Backlash instead.
Yeah, that's usually how the structure follows, as we've come to understand now. When we see how the plans are going, and then we see how the plans are derailed, they usually put a break in it in some way, shape, or form. And in this case, it was just slap the strap on Asuka up until Mania. And, usually that means they're going to follow up on the plans after. And I'm not surprised if that's going to be the plan here, even if it's at the WrestleMania's Backlash instead of just fucking Backlash. Missed the blue gimmick. No, but no matter what shape or form, I think that, they usually follow up on plans after, and then it's usually the structure that comes along here. If the belt does change hands, I don't think it's because Rhea Ripley got pinned here even. If it does change hands unpredictably, I do predict she won't need the pin.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Charlotte's going to take the pin. I think, like I said, I think Rhea will get the victory, but I don't think Charlotte's going to be the one to take the pin.
And if Rhea retains, Asuka's probably going to be the one taking the pin.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we talked a little bit before as we were sitting there trying to figure out who the Raw Tag Team Champions were.
You haven't seen them in 3 weeks, damn it.
Yeah. What do you think about that? We got this big build up. We finally get Omos, and then we don't see him.
Then he fucking disappears.
You literally grabbed the belt and went home.
No, it kills me because they're usually so good at, if not booking him well, booking AJ consistently. And so I was hoping at least that Omos would be able to chain along with that, because I think there is a lot of potential in Omos. I don't think he's a giant Gonzalez. I don't think he's arguably in his worst place, the great Khali. I think he has a lot more potential than that athletically and storyline wise. So, I think they need to capitalize on that shit real quick.
Oh yeah, big time. And here's the question that I ask: who do you think are going to be their first challengers? Because I don't think it's going to be New Day. I truly don't. Not because New Day doesn't deserve it. I think New Day knows when to move aside and allow another tag team to, find their feud, so to speak. So I ask I think it's going to be the Viking Raiders, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, usually when people return and they're hot like that, they usually want to cash in, and even if they're not going to win the championship, I have a feeling that the Viking Raiders are going to be the first to at least come along and challenge for it, if not within the next 2 to 3 challengers.
Yeah. And then maybe somewhere down the line, we'll get the rematch with New Day. Or, since it is WrestleMania Backlash, we might end up getting a rematch at the next pay-per-view.
And then Viking Raiders.
And then Viking Raiders at the Monday Night Raw show after that.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, with the setup. Now, don't get me wrong. Now let's talk a little bit real quick before we jump to SmackDown.
Go ahead.
WrestleMania Backlash. Interesting. Like that they're now tying it, because remember, that's always been a tradition. WrestleMania happens.
Let's break into this.
Yeah.
Backlash has always been after. Always.
Right. But Backlash has always carried kind of the last matches, the kiss-off matches for the feuds that were kind of carryovers from WrestleMania. Normally Backlash wasn't new feuds. There may be 1 or 2 new feuds in there, but for the most part, you were getting WrestleMania rematches and stuff like that. So I do enjoy the fact that they've now tied Backlash to WrestleMania. So every year we're going to get WrestleMania. Well, we'll see. This is a 1-year experiment. We'll see what the backlash, no pun intended, is from it, and go from there.
Not a bad way of going about it.
and go from there and see if next year we're going to continue with this WrestleMania Backlash. Because like we talked about before, I genuinely hope that they keep WrestleMania as a 2-night event and make it WrestleMania weekend, and so, or even WrestleMania week if you want to start doing the takeover events.
Fuck it.
Wednesday and Thursday. Fuck it. Go all out.
Yeah.
Because really, that would cover everything. You would get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It will cover everything. You could do the Hall of Fame on Thursday, and then you got SmackDown on Friday, WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday, and then the WrestleMania after that Monday, and then you got WrestleMania Fallout NXT on Tuesday. And so
right. Literally it's a week of wrestling. You have the perfect structure for this shit, man. Come on,
let's rock it.
But you're right though. With WrestleMania and Backlash being intrinsically tied to each other, I believe that, if something didn't end at WrestleMania, it ended at Backlash most of the time. And I can only think of a handful of times when Backlash was covered with a new feud.
Right. And that's where it boils down to. The link makes sense. We'll just see how it works out. It all depends on how you book it. You got to give us a reason to want to see Lashley versus McIntyre again. And this new whole infusion of T-Bar and Mason to the situation gives you a little bit of reason to want to tune back in. Like I said, it's not the reason that's going to make you go, oh my God, I have to buy this pay-per-view. Even if it's $99.99. But it makes it something interesting. It gives you a reason to watch. Right.
Yeah.
But I do believe this will be the kiss-off match for McIntyre and Lashley. Whoever wins the belt at WrestleMania Backlash will end up holding it till SummerSlam. And I don't believe Bobby Lashley is going to drop it.
You don't think so?
No. I think they just need to continue to make McIntyre look strong. And I think this is all about making McIntyre look strong because McIntyre didn't go away. Bobby just didn't beat him once and then he went away. He kept coming back and kept coming back. They got to keep that character looking strong. But I don't think that he's going to take it. I think there is a long-term plan in place with Bobby. And I think the earliest he drops the belt is SummerSlam. But that's just my personal opinion. Or if they were going to have him drop it before SummerSlam, then why not just have him drop it at WrestleMania?
Yeah, you're right. I think if at the end of the day, if Drew does win the belt again, it's not going to be until at least after SummerSlam again. I have a feeling Bobby Lashley isn't going to be the strongest book champion we've gone, but I think we're going to at least see him hold that belt until August, until SummerSlam season. And
also think about it like this: Drew McIntyre held that belt for almost a year straight. Sans like a 4 week period of time where he dropped it to Orton. He held that belt for damn near a year straight. So it's time to kind of not necessarily push him out of the picture, but just put him cool him on the sidelines for a little bit before people get sick of him and then bring him back. Just like I don't see Roman dropping his belt before WrestleMania.
It was well
before
timed.
SummerSlam.
Yeah. Well timed.
So like I like the link. We'll see what happens with it, but bravo WWE for trying something different, for trying something that's not normal WWE thing. All right, so on to SmackDown, sir.
On to SmackDown, the blue brand.
You had some words about the current push that Cesaro is getting.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's speak on that.
I'm surprised it's even happening. For one, like it's not even that it's like, oh, Cesaro's finally getting the push. It's like, I don't know about you, but when I heard the rumors that they were looking at Cesaro and Sheamus, and it was like, okay, one of you is going to be putting over you new guys. One of you is getting a big fucking push, getting the rocket strapped to your ass. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I instantly thought Shinsuke is the one that's going to be ascending, just because in wrestling it usually goes by who's younger. Right. who's gonna be able to hold this spot for more years for the next few years going forward, right? That's the idea you want. And so I was surprised to see Cesaro's even getting this shit to begin with. And I'm not mad about it. Don't get me wrong, because everyone knows that I marked out just as fucking hard when he used the UFO from fucking his Ring of Honor days. I loved that shit. But the amount of times that they've played that fucking clip is absurd.
It's very, very true.
It's bad. I mean, like, it's a good clip, but the consistency of that shit.
You always left you. Yeah, Cesaro is one of the most skilled in-ring competitors I've ever seen in my life. I didn't think so at first. I sort of liked his gimmick.
Oh, I slept on his ass for a good year.
Yeah. But it was the match, and I bring it up all the time. and I'll never forget. It was the match with Sami Zayn in NXT, the 2 out of 3 falls match. Oh my God. I was like, this dude can fucking go. And ever since then, I've been wanting him to get pushes, and I've actually been quite happy with his pushes. I don't think that everybody that's really, I think there's a certain stratosphere that deserves to be in the main event their whole career, or in that main event scene, you know. But I don't think everybody's on that level. Cesaro has all the in-ring skill that you could ever want. He has some charisma, but his charisma is not on the same level as his in-ring skill. Yeah. And that's where like I'll use for instance the whole situation with him and Daniel Bryan. It didn't rub me the wrong way, but it was kind of like,
yeah,
okay. Like, why is Daniel Bryan out here advocating? Wasn't Daniel Bryan just bitching about wanting a Universal title himself like 3 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden he's out here advocating for Cesaro to get a Universal title shot? I understand Daniel Bryan's a good guy and a nice guy. You know, I've watched enough Total Divas and you know, and all that, and Total Bellas. You know, I've watched enough of that to understand Daniel Bryan is a really nice guy, but it just didn't feel right to me. Like Cesaro coming out by himself and challenging Roman Reigns, it made sense to me. I was like, okay, he's coming off hot off his win. He's feeling himself. So, you know what? Okay, go after the top dog. If you're going to go after anybody, you go after the biggest dog in the room, right? So I got that. But it's still just, when you added Daniel Bryan to the mix, it just made it just, I don't know, something wasn't right for me. I don't know. What did you think?
No, you're right. I feel that, you know, when you add in Daniel Bryan and you add in that backstage, because everyone knows that, like, he's the guy that's been lobbying for Cesaro to get this push. Everyone knows he's the guy that's been lobbying for it backstage. Okay. Don't make it a real aspect of this story, please. Don't make that a real portion of this, because that's not going to work right.
Yeah.
And I do understand what you mean. You know, there's this notion with the World Heavyweight Championship, and you can't treat it like you would your top championship in Ring of Honor, in Evolve, or even something like fucking Impact, right?
Yeah.
You can't treat that in the same sense, because you have to look at it at a marketing sense. And I hate to look at it like that, but in reality, you have to look at it like that angle from WWE here. You have to think of it like, okay, do you have a character that I could slap on the back of a fucking backpack? Are you a villain that I can put a big splash image behind with you looking angry and mean? Or are you a hero that I can make you look valiant in? You know, do you have that character? And it's not even about you having an in-depth character. It's about having some little fucking splash image or a nickname that has a good enough ring to it. And that's not pessimistic, I think. You know, I think that's very real to say. You know, you need something that you can market. When you're the world champion in WWE, you have to be marketable like that.
Yeah.
And I fucking love Cesaro to death. I would do anything to see him on the top of the card like that. But does he have a character and a slogan that you can slap on backpacks like Seth Rollins? Can you imagine that on your, like, going to school with a Cesaro t-shirt like that, like you would with a Randy Orton t-shirt, you know, like, and that's not an insult, you know, think about it like that is the way that I would think about it.
And 100%, I agree with you for that exact reason. Like, unfortunately, WWE is a global juggernaut, and if you're going to be at the head of the WWE, you have to be a marketable face. You have to be somebody that sells merch. And I'm not saying Cesaro doesn't sell his share of merch.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he does.
The bar shirts are fucking awesome. I have one.
Right. But I don't. But when you look at, there's a different tier of wrestlers out there. Like in watching the Stone Cold Steve Austin biography today, like even Paul Heyman said, he's like, Stone Cold Steve Austin is like in the top 5, top 10 WWE merch sales, like even today. Like, the man hasn't stepped in a ring since WrestleMania 19 as far as wrestling a match. And he still
sells more than most people.
He still sells more than over half the roster, you know? So you got to have something like that. You got to have something that makes you marketable. And unfortunately for Cesaro, when it comes to the marketable edge, he's a little bit dry. I think there's ways that they could play up his character that could make him marketable. It's just a matter of whether or not he would be willing to go with it. You know,
Yeah. I agree.
And so I don't mind him getting the push. I think it's well deserved. There's nothing you'll ever hear me say that Cesaro does not deserve this push.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm never ever going to say that.
But I don't see him as the one that's going to dethrone Roman Reigns, unfortunately for him. I don't.
God, like best case scenario was like we spent months building up and we watched Cesaro become a convincing face that dethrones Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
That's a best case scenario, right?
If you want to tell me this is a teaser and we're not going to see that match for like another 4 or 5 months, amen.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is, though, I don't think we're going to, like, I mean, like, probably the reality of it is, I'll say, is probably that we're not going to see it done so perfectly, I think.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't. Well, I'll say the women's title on SmackDown kind of had a little bit of a shine this week.
Right.
I love the segment. I did love the segment with Bayley talking shit and saying all the shit she was saying, and then here comes Montez Ford with his cell phone, and he's got Bianca on the cell phone like, "Hey, she
heard you was talking shit."
You know, I'm on my way down there. Click. I was like, okay, I like
God damn.
That was kind of cool. You know, and so I liked the feud between the two of them. I liked it before WrestleMania, when her or not, what was it? Yeah, when her and Bayley went at it without the title. So I'm gonna like this feud. I think Bayley's doing some of the best character work of her career outside of her feuds with Sasha Banks. And yeah. So I'm hoping to see more out of that. We didn't get to see much but a backstage segment out of it this week, but I hope they continue to grow that storyline. The IC title, my brother. The IC title.
The shuffle of this shit. Let's talk about this.
The Wakandan accent still has not grown on me, and I am not.
How do you look at someone who is like Apollo? Apollo looks like you grabbed a bike pump and you stuck it in his different parts of his fucking body, and you just kept on pumping, bro. That dude is so jacked. He looks aerodynamic. That dude is so ripped. It looks like if you threw him, he would fly. How do you look at someone that looks like that and can wrestle as good as that, and you're like, make him Wakandan.
Yeah.
Make him Wakandan. Give him a General Aziz nuts. No. You could have capitalized on how good he is as a competitor. You gave him a fucking scarf.
Oh my god. And the General Aziz Ansari. Okay, sorry, no, that's the comedian.
General Aziz Ansari.
Whatever he is, M'Baku, whatever you want to call him. Okay. His finisher is what drove me crazy.
Like, oh my god, bro.
That was the final straw. Like, I was okay with the Nigerian or Wakandan accent. I was okay with them adding him a general.
The shirt with the medals and the fucking
whatever was whatever. But when he said he will hit him with the Nigerian nail again, I went,
Nigerian nail. At least Bad Luck Fale has the courage to like lift and like do it in midair, and he calls it the grenade. Like, that's badass.
Yeah,
that's badass. Exactly. He didn't even fucking try. He just did the Samoan spike, and even worse, what they had him do was get in the same position as Umaga, make the same face as Umaga, and then face the hard cam like Umaga.
Yep.
Fuck.
Man. Yeah, like I remember the dude, like he was the dude from Raw Underground, Dabo.
He was Dabo Kato in Raw Underground, and if you remember at the Greatest Royal Rumble when he first debuted, he was Babatunde.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know. WWE just seems lost with what to do with him. Like, they're going to keep him around because he's a big guy and Vince loves big guys, but they just seem lost in what to do with him. Because like this one, like, man, like, I don't know if I can get behind this. Like, I'm not saying Apollo needs to drop the belt. I just think Apollo needs to lose the guy, like the sidekick.
Not every fucking heel needs a muscle or two cronies. And sometimes it works to their advantage. And some people, like, it's just not fucking needed. Like, I love Imperium to death, but do I feel like they are needed to make Walter as badass as he is? No. And sometimes it gets a bit fucking much. No. This, I feel, is one of those times. I feel like, bridging off of what I said, I feel like they would seriously benefit from making him look strong and badass on his own before giving him the muscle. Because even worse so, everything that we've seen so far is that he can't win on his own at all. He can't win on his own at all. And then we saw that 3 times in a fucking row. Yep. And now suddenly we have General Aziz Nuts, and the moment that he has him, he wins the fucking title right away. Like, bro, what does that say about your character? That you need your crony to win.
Yep. 100%.
Even chicken shit heels like the guys in fucking NXT, fucking Santos Escobar has his strong moments,
Yeah. All right, so as we close out this top segment, I'm going to actually bring up a blast from the past, and I'll explain why a little bit. In watching the August 9th, 1999 episode of Monday Night Raw, not only did I see John Bradshaw Layfield and Ron Simmons as the Acolytes lose the WWF Tag Team titles, I also saw somebody that I had, Joey Abs. Do you remember which faction Joey Abs was a part of?
Joey Abs. The fuck? Wait.
I'll give you a hint. The leader of the faction was feuding with Test over a relationship with his sister.
For a relationship with his sister. This is, oh my God, it sounds so fucking familiar. And this is 1999.
Yes.
So I know. This sounds so fucking familiar. Please tell me.
Money.
God fucking, it's Shane.
The mean.
Test.
What's up?
Test was getting with Steph, right?
Yep. It was the Test.
Shane.
Test
all right, there we go. Joey Abs.
Joey Abs.
Fucking.
Of the Mean Street Posse, baby.
The Mean Street Posse.
Oh my goodness. I saw
Shane's
him. I was like,
fucking
Joey Abs. Wow.
Damn. Joey Abs.
That was,
shit, that transition into the ruthless aggression age, like stupid shit like that.
Yep. Oh,
that's the shit.
Eat it up, boys. It was great. All right, so let's go ahead and take our first little break here. We'll come back. We'll talk some WWE releases. We'll talk a little Stone Cold Broken Skull sessions, and I'll keep dropping more gems from that August 9th. There were a lot of them in that August 9th episode, including the debut of somebody that I didn't realize exactly how amazing it was until I went back and rewatched it this weekend. So we'll get to that on the second half of the show. You're listening to Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the Voices Presents Radio Network. Myself and Alpha love bringing this show to you, and we're hoping you enjoy and listen to it. So we'll catch you after the break. Peace. You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the Voices Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
Hello, Radio World. This is K-Double here to let you know about KD5P. K-Double's Fifth Period Music Class, a bi-weekly music show here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network, where every other Friday night at 8, I take you on a musical journey through the careers of some of your favorite musical artists. So check me out on Spreaker.com/4 Aces Presents Radio or on iHeartRadio every other Friday at 8 p.m. on Revolving Door episodes. Peace. KD5P.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
And we're back, y'all. Hey, what's up? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
sorry.
I was going to say, we're not supposed to keep that up yet, right?
We don't need that.
There we go.
Hold on.
There we go.
Hold on, y'all. Yeah, sorry.
It's
We're
okay,
going to get to that later. So,
all right.
So what's up, y'all? We are back here. I am the one and only Double K Double, and I'm here as always with Alpha. What's up, my brother?
Yes, sir. We're back, and instead of hitting the routine, we're going to hit some news, but let's finish up with SmackDown just real fast, right?
Yes.
One thing that we did not pick up.
Yes, that is right. We forgot to mention the return of the one and only Aleister Black. I did not see it coming. I had heard nothing about him coming back recently. So it was definitely a surprise return for me. But the key thing that I liked about it was the vignette that they had him do. I think it aligns with his character. He's definitely a storyteller, and I think and a great promo guy. And I think that it's all really going to depend now. I think the buildup is there. I think it's all going to depend on who they put him against. Can they create that chemistry and fire to launch him to the next level? Because the skill's there, the promo skill's there, the in-ring skill is there. He just needs that opponent.
Yeah, you're right. Aleister Black is one of those people that he definitely needs something good to bounce off of. You know, this can be Aleister Black versus Lars Sullivan, or this can be Aleister Black versus the Velveteen Dream, you know?
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the direction of this because I really fucking loved the vignette. And you know, especially because spring cleaning is never usually just one round, I expected Aleister Black to be in round 2. Yeah. So seeing him and his vignettes gave me assurance that he's not going to be on his way out the door like I thought he would be. You know, seeing Mickie James and Samoa Joe left, and now Andrade, it was instantly like, oh, yep, Aleister Black is next. So I was really happy to see that vignette, you know. I really hope they pick up on it and they really take this gimmick to the forefront of this. Aleister Black is one of those people, one of those bright up and coming stars. I feel like they really need to keep in the forefront of their work over the next few months.
Amen. I think also another big thing with it was this is what always led me to believe that we would eventually see him on WWE TV again. Is the fact that he was off TV for a long time, but you never heard any rumblings about Aleister Black is asking for his release. Aleister Black is unhappy.
That's true.
You know, with WWE. You've never heard a lot of those things. And that's because I don't think he is unhappy. I think there was something going on where it just wasn't his time, you know, to do his thing right now. And he accepted that and, you know, sat and waited. And I think we're going to see him soon get a push, hopefully. You know, I think unfortunately for him, Keith Lee caught fire at the right time. But just a long time for him, because I think that a lot of that push that Keith Lee got last year was meant for him. But Lee just, his popularity overwhelmed, you know, Blacks, and unfortunately it led to Black kind of being worked off of TV. But it's nice to see him back. Can't wait to see what they're going to do with him. But like we said, it all depends on who that feud is with, because this could launch him into the stratosphere as a legit contender to Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
this
I agree.
could definitely take him to that next level. Especially
now that we, I don't know if you heard the reports that it is true that back in the day when Drew that Rumble that Drew won. If you remember, there were a lot of reports around the time that that Aleister Black was also in contendership to be winning that and getting that fucking rocket strapped to his ass.
Yeah,
it's true. It was confirmed that back then it was between Drew and Aleister Black, and they were throwing around the idea of one or the other. And at the end of the day, Drew was the one that was considered more popular, so he was the one.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to think about how close he came to that, because that shows that they're willing to get even that close to letting him get the belt. And there's some assurance in that. And so that to me sounds like that they're willing to at least give him the chance to show that he can come near that again. So I have faith.
And I'm tired of this narrative that he was derailed because Vince doesn't like him. Or Vince doesn't see him as somebody who can lead.
Vince has said it himself that he doesn't understand him.
Yeah.
But that's different than doesn't like. He doesn't want to put a red dot over his face every time he's on camera, for example.
Yeah.
Christian moment.
Yes. Yeah. But just, you got to truly, speaking of, August 9th, 1999, Christian versus Gangrel.
Holy
opened
shit.
that episode. And it led to, get this, the Hardy Boys coming out and helping Gangrel beat down
when
Christian.
Gangrel became their manager.
Right. And Christian and Edge comes out to help them all. Michael P.S. Hayes comes out because he was managing the Hardys at the time. And they turn on him and end up hitting him with a swanton bomb. And oh my God, I was just like, it's been so long.
Look at how hype that shit used to be.
So before we get into it, let me tell people the reason why. Before we get into the releases, the reason why I began watching that particular episode of Monday Night Raw, that specific one, was because there was a debut on that episode. And it was mentioned in a Broken Skull podcast that we spoke of earlier. And there was a debut on that episode. And I wanted to see the unedited version because they kind of cut it down on the show. And I wanted to see the unedited version of that debut and get those goosebumps that I got, and decided to watch the entire episode of Raw, not just the episode. Remember, this is the Monday Night Raw before the Shawn Michaels versus Triple H at SummerSlam with Jesse the Body Ventura as the special guest enforcer.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to unpack in that episode, and I loved every minute of it. But the debut I'm speaking of, I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about, was Mr. Millennium Man himself, Mr. Y2K or Y2J, Chris Jericho, debuting by, of all things, cutting off The Rock in mid-promo. It was just as beautiful as the first time I watched it. Back then, I had heard rumors prior to watching that episode that I pretty much knew that it was Jericho that was coming in as the Millennium Man when the countdown clock went in. They weren't very good at keeping secrets back then either. So it was. I was already hyped for him because I was a fan of Jericho's when he was in WCW. So, and so it was just one of those type of things where I watched the entire episode from pillar to post. The Rock and his skills. Oh my God, man! And then of course the Austin gets hit with a cinder block storyline.
Oh my fucking God, man!
It was great, man. It was great. And you can go back and watch it anytime on Peacock. They got the whole episode there.
No shit.
But yeah. And then Austin comes back. And this was the thriller at the end of the episode, y'all.
Go.
China, for a small period of time, became the number one contender to Stone Cold Steve Austin's WWE Championship belt by winning the triple threat match against Undertaker and Triple H. Why did she win? because Steve Austin came out and hit, what was it, Triple H over the back with a chair, over the head with a chair, and then dragged China over and pinned him and got the 1, 2, 3.
Fucking classic.
Oh my goodness, I missed the Attitude Era in so many different ways.
What wrestling
Guys,
used to be.
I'm probably going to be watching a few more episodes of Raw, that particular era of Raw. So I'll bring them up on future episodes of the show just to let everybody reminisce.
Let me talk about something though too with that. Sure. Honestly, there's something that was in the back of my mind with that the whole time watching that debut myself. I find something really interesting, and I don't mean to veer off too much here, but when Booker T said when he got to WWE and The Rock's response was, "Who are you?" Yeah. And so many WCW guys like Sting took a serious offense to that. And recently now, Booker T himself has said, that was just business. He would have said that to anybody else. I didn't really fully understand that. And then I watched that debut of Jericho, where even in that interview, they hype up Jericho's debut like it's a fucking godsend, because it is, because you watch it and it's great. But then you see The Rock respond with, "It doesn't matter. It's great." It's and then it fully clicked for me, like, oh,
yeah,
he was right. Like, this is just how the fucking Rock responded. It wasn't anything personal at all. This was just how it went. And that's something that was just in the back of my head thinking about Booker T saying that and how many people didn't dig that. Well, it fully just clicked for me. Go ahead though.
It's great that you bring that up, because it ties me back into one of my favorite shows right now, in Young Rock, in which he talks about how his dad taught him how to live the gimmick.
Yeah.
And even though Rock knew when to turn it on and turn it off as far as dealing with fans.
Yeah.
When it came to other wrestlers, he's living the gimmick. Unless he knows you, he's in character. You know what I'm saying? So that scene makes sense, because he's right. Rock would have said that to anybody.
Yep.
The level he was on at the time Booker T got there, that upper echelon that The Rock was walking with, who are you?
Would have said that to anybody.
Yeah, who are you? No.
Yeah.
Oh, you that dude that be doing my move over in WCW? No.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't anything specific like that, man.
Yeah. No, I feel you. But yeah, no, it is. It's that's how the business is. These guys, especially back in that era, like, you had to pay your dues. Like that.
Absolutely.
They had to know that you paid your dues before they were going to give you the respect. Which is why Lesnar rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But the people grew to respect him, but initially, but all right, so let's get to these releases. So one day Vince McMahon, one day a year, Vince McMahon wakes up and just goes, you know what? Fuck about 15 of my wrestlers, 20 of my other employees. We get rid of all of y'all. We don't need you. Nah, I'm just playing. It ain't like that.
Wakes up, open his window, just like, I love the smell of annihilation in the morning.
No, hold up. Here's another funny way.
No,
Vicious wakes up, opens up his window, screams out, "You're fired!" And if you're in earshot enough to hear it, that means you're gone.
You're the one. You're the one. Good night.
He's talking to you. If you can hear it, he's talking to you.
Drew the unlucky dice. Good night.
Maybe you should live a little further away from Vince McMahon.
Like a fucking Aztec war trial. Like, you're the one. Good night. That's too good, man.
Yeah. But anyway, there were some major cuts. They cut, I want to say 15 or 20 people, but there were some pretty big names. I can't say big names. There was one marquee name, and then a bunch of people that was I
kind of expected
50. Right, exactly. They hadn't really been used in a while. When you stop seeing people on TV, you eventually feel that most likely either they're getting repackaged or
they're done.
Exactly. And so let's take a look at some of the names that, we're done.
Let's go through the list.
We all know about the one and only Mr. Andrade.
Definitely he's different because he received his immediate release, which is why you'll see he's already scheduled to do something because Andrade's 3-month buffer, whatever, I forget what it's called, is non-fucking applicable. 90-day no compete clause is not fucking happening in his case because he was given his release. Whereas these following people have been released out of their contracts prematurely, if I'm not mistaken, outside of being asked for it. And like I said, when we were just able to graze over these, I had said, remember, first round is always people who have either been bitching and voicing their malcontent here, or people who who have already fucked up.
Yeah.
And after the fact now, like a week after the fact, happily, I do find out that all of these people are people who have been voicing not being happy there.
Okay. Lars Sullivan seems to be an interesting story because it says he was released in February, but it says he was basically released earlier this year. He revealed that he battles anxiety issues. And
he was released about a month ago under the radar.
Yeah. So Steve Cutler, I remember that one.
Yeah. He was with the Forgotten Sons.
Yeah.
And then ascended right to King Corbin's court or what the fuck ever, and then immediately got fucking cut, which was interesting. Like, everybody expected Jackson Riker before him, even me.
And Jackson Riker's still there with Elias.
Some fucking how.
Yeah. Now, this was the big one.
Let's talk about this.
They released Samoa Joe. And, okay, I'm going to say this from two different ways before I let you give your opinion, sir.
Please, no, go ahead. Break into this.
I come at it from two different angles. The first angle is this. Joe was amazing as a commentator. Joe was amazing as a wrestler. Joe is amazing as a wrestler. If you strip all the emotion away from it, Joe was injured on and off a lot during his WWE tenure.
Yeah, man.
Unfortunately so for Joe. And unfortunately, at a certain point, when you get to the point where you're not necessarily bringing in as much money as you're costing to keep around, companies have a tendency to move on from you. And that's just business. Like, I'm pretty sure Joe doesn't take this as WWE, like, screwed me. Both sides kind of had more to gain from being apart than being together. So because of that, I saw this coming. I didn't see this coming because he was just on commentating last week. But when I read that the commentating teams were going to be shuffled around after WrestleMania and Joe's name wasn't anywhere on the list, I was like, okay.
Oh, no.
I was like, okay, so either they're about to bring him back in ring right after WrestleMania or
that's it. That's the axe.
And unfortunately, he didn't come back the Monday night after WrestleMania. And then that Tuesday, I believe it was, bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, hella people, I'm going to state this right now. I'm sick and tired of the people saying, WWE screwed Joe, and he should have been a champion. Part of this was WWE not giving him the pushes when he was hot and healthy. And Joe, unfortunately, not staying healthy this entire run with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of this had to do with maybe WWE's doctors weren't going to clear him. So they decided to move on from him.
Yeah.
Because they thought he was more valuable than sitting in a commentator's chair. So
yeah, that's one way of going about it. I'm just as disappointed as everybody else. I wanted to see more. To get two things out of the way first, Joe's reaction on Twitter was fucking golden, posting a gif of the absolute best comedian on the face of this fucking planet, Dave Chappelle, in the Fuck Yo Couch skit. That's not the one there, but one of his other, he posted a Fuck Yo Couch gif, and then after the fact, he was like, they never ever should have really gave me money. It was fucking great. It's wonderful. Chad Joe. But all things aside, it's I believe it's fair to say that him and Hideo Itami sadly had the same trajectory here.
Yeah.
It was two really, really athletically gifted men who at the time of walking in were absolutely some of the hottest free agents at the time, you know, when they had signed, at least in their collective times, were so fucking hot. And then slowly over time diminished. At least Joe had that good time in NXT, which was fucking awesome if you were there for it. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's fucking awesome. His feud with Nakamura and Owens are amazing.
Yep.
It's fucking gospel. Go back and watch it. But from the beginning, I didn't really quite like the way that they treated him on the main roster. I didn't like his debut. I remember his debut in 2017. I remember like, oh man, that's kind of fucking gay. Like I wanted something more explosive.
Yeah.
I'm really sad that one of the only times the Muscle Buster was used, it was to end Tyson career's fucking 9th spinal column. I'm a huge Joe fan, so I wanted so much more, but I'm really above all else destroyed that I didn't get to see Lashley versus Joe in a really, really big sense here. But go on.
Yeah. No, Lashley versus Joe, I'm pissed we didn't get to see also Roman versus Joe for a title. Like I thought that
we saw it at Backlash those few years ago when it was fucking trash. You know, like we deserve to see that fight on a much grander stage with much more build up.
I always thought that they should have been built up as a tag team first, and then split up as a tag team, and then go after each other for a belt. You know, like
they should have been a team and then exploded.
Yeah. Like I thought that would have been great. But what could have been, what should have been, Joe will go on to do what Joe's going to do, and WWE will go on to be the juggernaut that it is. I'm pretty sure there's probably no hard feelings on either side. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm not even that dude. Before we finish this off, one of the final things that I saw walking out of this was a guy who posted a picture of Joe and was like, congratulations to AEW's new signee. And I was like, bro, stop. Stop. Like it grinded me down, man.
it pissed me off. Like, stop it, man. Not every wrestler that gets released by WWE needs to go to AEW. Some of them have ideas of going other places. You know, New Japan is actually bigger than AEW. Like, and not all of them.
Joe in fucking New Japan. Well,
and all of them don't necessarily want to stay stateside. And still compete with WWE. Some of them want to get away from that whole scene altogether. And so we'll see where Joe lands. Like I said, Joe will land wherever it makes Joe happy. Because I'm pretty sure Joe made a pretty penny in his few years at WWE between NXT and the main roster. So I remember at one point looking up Joe's thing, and I know he was close to $1 million a year. So like
that Vince McMahon money. That Vince McMahon payroll.
And so I'm pretty sure he made a pretty penny working, being one of the top guys over at TNA for a long time.
Absolutely.
You know, during their top run. So as far as I'm concerned, Joe's got enough money probably to be able to sit back and take his time and decide where he wants to go down the road and not necessarily make any rush decisions. Joe doesn't need to get back to work next week. So if he does come back to AEW, hey, good for AEW. You know, who knows?
I agree.
You know? So,
I feel like let's lump these two in together, though.
Yes.
These next two people in together.
Well, let's okay.
So I'll present this one.
Go for
since you just I was really kind of fucking hurt by this one. I don't know about you, but I feel like this women's division really needs these two, not because they're the best wrestlers in the world or the most technically gifted, but they're entertaining. Mm-hmm. And they know how to cut a promo. They know how to be fucking annoying, and they know when to be at least pseudo baby faces.
Yeah.
I feel like they dropped such a ball here because people like Joe weren't built off of WWE. You know, Joe can walk out of this, and I'm not saying he's going to go there, but he could just as easily walk into Ring of Honor and probably secure one right there.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. But the difference is Peyton Royce and Billy Kay were built up through the Performance Center, built up through NXT, and then now through the main roster.
Yeah.
So the thing is now we've only known them in this sense. And so I don't know about you, but the idea of seeing them best case scenario together in a place like Stardom or Shimmer is I want that. I need that.
You need that, huh?
I need that.
Let me say this. I love both these girls during their time in WWE. Always have, always will. The Iconics kind of wore on me after a while, and I think that was part of their problem on the main roster. And unfortunately, neither one of them ended up. I can't say they weren't capable. They were fully capable. Just by pure bad luck. I think this is one of the times where the WWE universe got it wrong. What I mean by that is live crowds. And I also think the lack of live crowds. I don't think their gimmick works as well without a crowd to respond to.
Yeah.
And I think that was also part of what doomed the Iconics. And I think even them individually, their gimmick doesn't work as well without a crowd to balance off of. And like I was watching the A&E biography on Stone Cold. Imagine the Austin 316 line being dropped in an empty stadium.
It could be the best shit in the world, but if there's no one there to react to it, it's not going to be as fire as it would be.
Exactly. So I think all of that hurt their trajectory. Because remember, they won their first titles, the women's tag titles at WrestleMania. Like their trajectory was definitely going up. But I think, the beginning of 2020 and the lack of fans and the lack of them to be able to overcome the lack of fans, so to speak, not putting it fully on them, just ended up being what was the final nail in the coffin for them. And then it didn't help that Peyton Royce decided to take upon herself to try to be CM Punk and go off on the after
do
show.
Something.
So, but at the end of the day, I don't like seeing them go. They, like you said, they had a lot to offer. They still have a lot to offer. But
man.
we'll see if they bounce back and where they land. I think AEW would be wise to pick them up.
Yeah,
I think their talent alone would add to the AEW women's division.
I agree.
This one doesn't surprise me, but we can talk a little bit while we got her on screen about the story that goes around her release of her receiving all of her items.
Stuff in a fucking bag.
In a garbage bag, which in Greg Serrano, I think his name is, getting fired, the guy that was talent coordinator. You probably seen him on, if you watch Total Divas or Total Bellas, he's been backstage dealing with the girls and all that. So, but it got him fired for sending back. And I guess she wasn't the only one that received her belongings after being released back in a trash bag. But it didn't surprise me that Mickie James was released because she had only been used sparingly over the past 6 months or so anyway. And don't get me wrong, I loves me some Mickie James. Like I do. That's my girl right there.
Man.
Her angle with Trish Stratus, where she was the psycho fan, is still one of the best character feuds I've ever seen in my life from female wrestlers.
In my opinion, it's like top 15 for me, not even female wrestling and wrestling of all time. It's such a well-balanced feud between them two.
So, but like I said, not surprised to hear that she was treated like that, but not surprised to hear that she was released. Love you, Mickie, but you could still go other places, but they just ain't got the room for you right now. Now, this evidently shocked a lot of people.
It shocked me. I was shocked.
So I'll let you go ahead and
I'll take this one. So like I kind of expected this, I think when she got to the main roster and immediately flopped and then they did nothing with her, walking into this isn't her first time around as well. This is her third tryout, Yeah. She's been turned down before, so I'm not surprised she got this far and then got shot down, because even in NXT, it feels like they didn't really do much with her, and what they did do with her was pretty slow and disappointing. And it felt like if they had kept her around and pushed her to the top, this could have been Eva Marie 2.0. So I'm happy. So I'm happy that they sent her somewhere else to refine herself, because from what I did see in ring, it was like Kona Reeves level of bro. You look like you're wrestling underwater. You're so fucking slow. You know what I mean?
Damn. Well, she's going to be back on the indie circuit doing her thing. Or she might end up where Matt Cardona is.
Could be.
Zack Ryder that's her husband. Tucker.
These are some interesting ones.
Tucker, Kalisto, Bo Dallas. Did they release Curtis Axel, or was he released a long time ago? I think he was released a long
Curtis
time ago.
Axel was released last year.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, but he was, yeah.
Tucker Knight, former tag team partner with Otis. Kalisto of the Lucha House Party, and Bo Dallas. You know, I did love, I'll say this.
How much time do we have to get into this? I'm not trying to rush him on the ass. So
we're down to the last three. We're down to the last three. So,
all right, lightning round. Let's go.
Okay, I can give us two more. So we got five that we're working.
Lightning round. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, like Kalisto, once again, doesn't really surprise me. Hadn't really seen him much outside of like sparing little thing backstage segments and stuff like that. Bo Dallas produced the best memes of all the releases with with the he wouldn't have been released if you all would have just believed. But good. I'm glad to see him get his shot, because unfortunately WWE wasn't going to be where it was. He just didn't connect with he did at the beginning, but something about him just ended up not completely long-term connecting with the WWE fan base like his brother's character does, or character work is done. So
yeah, man.
So unfortunately, go ahead.
Yeah, I really wanted to see more from Tucker Knight. You know, he had a lot of interesting little moments that I think showed a lot of potential. But in my opinion, he, on the other hand, gave the best post-release picture, which was immediately after being released, he went to Twitter and posted "Freedom" with a picture of him on a golf course smoking a joint, because he's no longer under the payroll. I really am sad about Kalisto. You know, I've really liked his whole career up to this point. I liked him before he was even in WWE. I loved his work a lot. So I'm really sad to see him go, but apparently he was among one of the most displeased. He was really unhappy with the Lucha House Party, and his consistency was that he would ask to be out of it. And you'll notice he was kicked out of the Lucha House Party, and then they just kind of went on without him as if he was never there. Yeah. Because Lindsay and Gran Malik asked to continue together, while Kalisto showed so much anger and feeling like he wasn't taken seriously, apparently. So I'm really sad, but I really liked Kalisto a lot up to this point, and never forget that he is one of the few people with a clean victory over Braun Strowman.
Yeah, no shit.
He is. Bo Dallas broke my fucking heart, because his reign as NXT champion back in the day is one of my most favorite of all time, with the big bulky NXT strap. I love that belt. But him being NXT champion is one of my favorite reigns of all time. His idea of being a heel that thinks he's a face and thinks that they're all cheering him when in reality everyone fucking hates him is one of the best ways to portray being a chicken shit heel I've ever seen in my entire life. And I would have killed for that to be given more attention here, but it wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Yeah. And then I guess Wesley Blake is the last one.
Yep.
And yeah, he's the other guy from the Forgotten Sons. So
no more Forgotten Sons.
Well, no, the last remaining guy is Jackson Riker.
Jackson fucking Riker. It's literally remember when I was like, oh, out of Big Cass, Carmella, and Enzo, would you have thought that the final person to survive would have been Carmella?
Nope.
Out of everyone in the Forgotten Sons, which one would you have thunk would have been the final survivor? Not Jackson fucking Riker.
Amen to that. Amen to that. All right, bro. So I'm going to give us one quick minute real quick where we're still talking about combat sports, but we're going to be talking. I'm going to ask you a question about a little MMA.
Let's roll.
Did you get to watch the UFC 261 this weekend?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you get to see or hear about the finish to the main event?
No, but please enlighten.
There's a young man by the name of Jorge Masvidal who is Masvidal. Let me say this right now. I can say nothing negative about this man. This man lost with grace. And now, mind you, this is a few days after seeing him on ESPN talk shit about his opponent like he's supposed to.
Oh, this is good.
And talk about how this dude doesn't know what he's getting into. I'm about to knock his ass out. I'm gonna beat him until he believe. All this stuff, right? So they went at each other. Usman got in a couple of good shots. Masvidal so there's a scene where Masvidal eats a fist from Usman and like smiles and is like standing there like smiling like right. Well, to coin that Michael Jordan meme, I guess Usman took that shit personally. Because at the beginning of the next round, 1 minute and 10 seconds in, Usman put his ass to sleep with a right hand to the jaw. And I mean, they teach you in martial arts to punch through your opponent. Yeah. He punched through, bro, you're upside down.
I'm upside down?
Yeah,
what the fuck?
There you go.
How the fuck am I upside down?
I don't know.
There we go. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, bro. You're upside down. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's what happens when you're doing this shit. But Usman, Usman like literally he hit that boy so clean that he was out before he hit the ground. Basically out of it before he hit the ground. Now, here's where my joke comes in. Usman hit that man so hard, and I am not lying on this. It's a joke, but it's a joke about reality. That man sat up and had to be reminded that he just got knocked out.
Oh my fucking God.
You hear Joe Rogan saying, his corner's telling him right now that he just got knocked out. And then you see him sitting up and he's talking to his guy like,
what the fuck am I?
Yo. I didn't lose, right? I just fell down, right? Like, he knocked you cold out.
You're done.
Like you see the look on you can see the look on his corner man's face. Dude's like, dude, no, like you lost.
Oh, like, if you find a clip of it, link it to me.
All right. Well, I'll teach the watchwrestling.ip address that I sent you.
Yeah.
They show the UFC fights too. They do all the wrestling pay-per-views and they do the UFC fight. So you can literally go on there and then what you do is once you click on it, it's going to say part 1, part 2, part 3. Just click on part 3 and that takes you immediately to the main event fight, which was the Usman fight. But yeah, like he punches, like I said, they teach you a martial arts punch through your opponent. He punched through that man's jaw. And like from contact, when it was done,
you can see the motherfucker go limp.
He was limp and then natural reaction of a fighter once he hits the ground, he's like trying to get up, like you see his arms like trying to get up, and he's getting hit with the hammer fist. And then all of a sudden, after the third hammer fist, you just see his
refs in. Good night.
And so it's the quickest I've ever seen Herb Dean move. If you know who Herb Dean is, you'll understand why that's funny. But yeah, man, like definitely check it out. It was worth watching. For those of you watching, check it out. It was worth watching just to see that knockout. Usman he's already I think he's got one more fight to break Anderson Silva's consecutive fight record. He's the current welterweight champion in the UFC. The boy's bad. Him, Ngannou, like these boys are bad. Not to mention, side note, Jake Paul tried to get into it with Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm going to happen to say that was a stupid move, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh man, it's a bad fucking idea. You have an understanding eventually that it depends on how we're going into this, because if we're going with the Pacquiao versus Mayweather shit, we're fucked here. If we see an MMA guy go into a boxing ring, we're fucked here. But if Paul steps into an MMA ring, into the octagon, that's it. Good night. Yeah. This is not fucking going well. Because I'll give it to Paul. I'll give it to him. If you look at the way he fights, he has some explosive power to him. He's got some fucking power to him. He does. I hate his ass to death, but he's got some swing to it. But he's got no fucking technique.
Yeah.
He's got no fucking technique.
And let's not forget, Daniel Cormier is a striker, folks. Like, Daniel Cormier is not just a wrestler.
Striker.
So, that was the thing with that one. But anyway, I digress.
DC's got that butterbean effect, dude. I'm sorry.
One hit will knock you.
That butterbean effect, bro. He looks chunky, but that's all power behind them punches, dude.
Oh, bro, I said it the other day to one of my best friends, Suave from West Coast Bias. I told him, I was like, that man don't want That man don't want none of Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson is 56 years old. Because I'll tell you right now, Mike Tyson would knock Jake Paul out. If you've ever watched any clips from the past, like there's about 3 of them floating out there from the past 5 years of Mike Tyson just throwing shadow jabs and punches. I would not want to stand in front of that man. He'll hit you 3 times before you can finish saying his name.
I'm fine.
He will hit you once and it will literally knock the taste out your mouth. Everything will taste like copper.
Mike Tyson. Taste some pennies.
Shit. That's how hard Mike Tyson will hit you. It's like getting shocked with a watching taser. But anyway, I digress. So we can close out for this week. Next week, join us. We're going to be back on the comic book tip. We're going to be talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier finale. Oh my God. Blows your mind.
Oh man.
We're going to be talking the fact that Marvel has let us down by making us wait till damn near June for Loki. And what else?
We're going to be capping off Glass.
With Glass, yes. And also Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, fuck it. We'll talk Mortal Kombat too.
Yeah. So we got a full plate next week. We got a full plate.
We do. It's going to be a good one though.
Yes. Join us. All right. So that's it for now. Alpha, your last words for the people?
Right. You know how it goes. My people are going to be coming back at you again with some M. Night Shyamalan love. Oh, fucking hell. I'm sorry. Lost my train of thought there. All right. We'll be back at you again with some comic book love again. My people, be safe. Peace.
Oh, man.